in my opinion, Modinomics started working in India at the state level from October 2001 because we were all, some of us were engaged in studying the Indian economy, particularly the MSME sector at the grassroots level for the last almost 30 years now. So Modi ji, after he became the chief minister in 2001, no, he invited us in 2003, June, July, after almost 1.5 years of his governance at the state. So when he invited us, we went there. He told us, he asked us whether you can study the Gujarat kite business. Gujarat kite business at that time was a cottage business. So it was very small. But he was very particular that he should improve the business of business. So he said, you have to study this in detail and offer your suggestions based on your experience of studying the MSME sector. So we went there, we took up the study, and after about 4-5 months, we completed it in early December. So when we were discussing about the recommendations, what the government should do to improve the business, we suggested it is better if you organize a program, a kind of workshop, before releasing this as a report sometime in January. Because all of us know every year Uttarayan is being celebrated in a big way in Gujarat. During that time, this kite flying is a very important activity. So we wanted to release it during 2004 Uttarayan. So before that, almost 1 month before that, we were discussing. So we said whether we can organize a workshop comprising of people from different segments of the kite business. He immediately accepted it. A workshop was organized wherein we presented our own study and we gave 13 recommendations to the government. Of course, at that time, the 2-3 ministers were there, government officials were there, and the actual participants of the Gujarat kite business, they were also there. Just before the meeting, Chief Minister met some of us who were involved in this study. Then he asked us to go through the recommendations. At that time, the ministerial group was there. Initially, even at the beginning, the Chief Minister, the then Chief Minister, organized a group of IAS officers also to help us. And we were all there, about 10 of us. So I was going through the recommendations. Then he said, you discuss it with the participants, the kite makers, different categories of kite makers. And then immediately, if the government feels, these are some of the recommendations which we can immediately accept. So as a result, that day itself, out of 13 recommendations, 9 were accepted, even before the recommendations were officially submitted. And this is Modinomics. And before that, even though we were doing this work for so many years, no government invited us. That too, particularly to study a small cottage business like kite business. So as a result, today, at that time, the kite turnover, business turnover, in our estimate was about 30-35 crores. Now it should be around 900 crores. I don't know exactly. It could be a little more also. So this is the kind of method with which he works. So a small business, kite business, that too here we have to understand that the persons who were working in that business were largely women. Women from the minority community, particularly at the kite making level. So he wanted to improve the lives of those people, and that is the reason why, he undertook this exercise. So for the first time, I personally understood how Modinomics worked at the grassroots level. And this is how he started his work, in my opinion. And as Kishore was pointing out earlier, I knew when we used to visit Gujarat often for the study, and later also, we knew that based on his own experiences, he improvised things. When we wanted to introduce this agricultural schemes, everywhere, youngsters may or may not know, for the farmers to go to government offices, it is very, very difficult because they have their own regular routine. Even if they are held up, they say 4 hours, 5 hours there, cows would be waiting, or they have to water plants, etc. So it's very difficult for an ordinary farmer to go to a government office. The then Chief Minister, Mr. Prime Minister Shri Modi, he took up an exercise whereby all the officials, the entire agricultural ministry went to different farmlands, villages, including the agriculture minister himself. So this is how he changed the entire scenario, and that is how the soil health schemes, different schemes were born. So this is one. And after he took over as the Prime Minister in May 2014, in January 2015, he organized a 2-day meeting of all the chairman and managing directors of nationalized banks in India. So there was a bankers meet in Pune. There is National Institute of Banking Management, NIBM. For that meeting, some of us, we were also invited. I was asked to present on suggestions for improving the priority sector. Priority sector means agriculture, MSME, all these small activities. So we were asked to present, some of us, 5 or 6 of us, outside experts, maybe 7, 8. We were there, but I was asked to present on this MSME sector. We presented it. Then we forgot. Then, during August 2015, after about 7 months, Mudra scheme was announced in Delhi. When he was announcing the Mudra scheme, he made one point. Of course, I was not here. I read it next day. He said, the idea for this Mudra finance scheme came to me initially because of a study undertaken by a Tamil Nadu team for the Gujarat kite business. Can you believe it? It took place in 2003. He was referring it after 12 years. So we can understand the importance he gives to improving the small businesses, to the underprivileged, less privileged sections of the society. So this is how we have to understand Modinomics. So Modinomics started working at the All India level from 2014, but actually it began, in my opinion, in 2001 itself. So that is how we have to understand. And we all know, recently I went through a study by State Bank of India, this research team, on this Mudra. Earlier, our friend Mr. Kishore pointed out, the SBI report is very important here because it pointed out several things with regard to this Mudra scheme, particularly for the underprivileged sections. The SBI report says superior credit culture among diversified groups started after introduction of Mudra, mainly from the bottom strata of the society. So the idea of Modinomics is to help the bottom sections of the society, less privileged sections of the society. I'll give just 1 or 2 details to highlight how Modinomics works. Even if we take this Mudra scheme, if we take the amount dispersed, it was rupees 1.3 crores during the financial year 2016. Now, this year, 2013, it was 4.5 crores. So, from 1.3 crores to 4.5 crores, more than 3 times more in the last 7 years. If you take the average size of loan, it was about 38,000 in 2016. Now it is 72,000. You can understand the scale with which, speed with which, the scheme has been growing. And it's mentioned that there are 3 type of loans under this Mudra scheme. One is Shishu, that is up to 50,000. You will be happy to know that the highest disbursement is happening among all the 3 schemes in the Shishu schemes. That means people who borrow only up to 50,000 rupees. They are very small people. They are very, very small people. So the highest disbursement is happening only in Shishu scheme. This is undertaken by what we call the neglected social segments like scheduled caste, community people, scheduled tribe, women, OBC, etc. And the next scheme is called Kishore. It is between 50,000 and 5 lakhs. The third scheme above 5 lakhs. You see here, this Kishore scheme, consistently the number of women getting loans are increased. Consistently it is going up. So as a result, the report says empowering the grassroots level has been one of the most remarkable feat of the Mudra schemes. So this is what we have to understand. We have to know. And as far as Modinomics is concerned, it is not just concerned with announcements, but actual happening. Uh, Last year, 22-23, if you take the amount sanctioned and the amount dispersed, 98.65%. You announce an amount and disperse it. Many times it happens, disbursement would be about 30%, 40%, but here 98.63%. So this is Modi economics. This is really helping the very ordinary people of this country. And I would like to mention just 2 points briefly, because we would like to give our participants to voice their own opinions and making comments. If you take this Jan Dhan scheme, it's one of the most revolutionary schemes. It entered the Guinness Book of World Records also for the number of persons getting enrolled. So far, more than 50 crores accounts have been opened. And at that time, I remember when Prime Minister Modi introduced this scheme, many people commented, he is asking people to open accounts. Those who have not even, who do not even have the money to open their accounts, whether it is 500 or 1,000, 2,000, this is the minimum account required. So he introduced this zero scheme as a zero deposit scheme. So people were ridiculing this particular scheme. But you know how much money they have in their accounts, deposits now? More than 2 lakh crores. 2.055 lakh crore money is within this account. So this is what we have to understand. So as a result, some of us, we are going to local villages, different places, and they feel that they have got empowered. So a women having an account, a rural woman having an account, because 55% of the account holders are women. You know how much empowerment they have got. So this is a very, very important aspect of it. And all of us know this Ujjwala scheme was introduced particularly to mainly to help women from the um, below poverty line families, BPL families. They've given the details who are all eligible to get this. If you go through, you will understand people from SC, scheduled tribe families, very, very ordinary families. So far, more than 9.6 crore people have been provided with this. And we all of us know, again, if you see the average LPG consumption of these very poor families, it has increased by 20%. 20%. So it is not just announcement of schemes, it is benefiting people at the ground level. So this is what we have to understand. So here, as a result, what is happening? One, Patikrit was pointing out earlier that the number of entrepreneurs increasing. Now the number of entrepreneurs are getting increased. As a result, unemployment is decreasing. You might have seen, many of you, some 10-15 days back, there was a report based on NSO, National Statistical Office details. It takes these details from what we call this periodic labor force survey. Now, since 2017, this survey is being used. As a result of the government schemes today, unemployment has fallen to 6-year low, lowest in the last 6 years. So during July 22 to June 23, the unemployment rate was 3.2%. While in the so-called developed countries of the West and other places, unemployment rate has been increasing, particularly after Corona, because they are not able to manage their economy. Here, we have not just managed the economy better, but unemployment rate has been falling down. So this is Modinomics, and very recently, I want to mention this. The Prime Minister has introduced a scheme called Vishwakarma Yojana. All of you may be knowing. As we have seen across the country, that in thousands of places, there are clusters. Clusters are business centers or industrial centers dominated by these traditional um, talented, skilled artisans everywhere. If you see the handloom clusters, I have lost count. In Tamil Nadu, the state from which I come from, even in that state, there could be about 600, 700 small clusters, textile, handloom textile clusters, and each of them are unique. Each of them are unique. Like this, there are different types of clusters. Cobblers making shoes, chappals. They are unique, highly talented people. So far, nobody cared for them. And for the first time, Prime Minister is recognizing them, and 13,000 crores has already been allotted for this year. So this is going to change the underprivileged sections of the society. I have no doubt, because barbers are going to get it, washermen are going to get it, cobblers are going to get it, those who make fishing nets, they are going to get it. So 18 categories of people, they are going to get it. So this is how Modinomics is in working. So Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is really happening at the ground level. So the Modinomics, the way we make policies and implement it, is really helping the underprivileged sections of society in India. In this connection, I have to tell you one more thing. After becoming the Prime Minister for the first time, in his first Independence Day address as the Prime Minister of this country on August 15th, 2014, he made one or two important, very critical statements. And one statement was with regard to replacing the then Planning Commission with Niti Aayog. As a result, during January 2015, Niti Aayog replaced Planning Commission. When you have time, you please go through the cabinet resolution passed by the Government of India to make this Niti Aayog. It says hereafter policy making in India would be based on the realities of India, ground realities. No longer we would be making policies based on the models of other countries. So it will be rooted in India, and that is how it is happening. So Modinomics is nothing but helping every section of the society to come up in life, and it is happening in India today. Thank you.